stinky contact cement. We got the Weldwood, DAP Weldwood. This stuff works excellent for your moccasins. It takes 20 minutes to dry. What I usually do is I'll coat it. Of course, the suede I do twice. So I'll start off doing the suede, go throw it out on the porch before I puke, and then do this one, coat it, throw it out on the porch, and then that one should be well enough dried so I can put another coat on. So we're going to show you guys how to coat it a second. I'm going to do this one, then I'm going to have a helper do the other one. So we're going to pop this off a little bit. And this stuff stinks. This stuff really stinks. Open up a window if you can. But we'll quickly coat the suede side so you can see. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get that out of the way. And we're off to the races. And of course we just have to do this area right here. So get some of the stuff on there and smear it on. It does not take very long. Try to keep your fingers out of it if you can. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the exterior part of the moccasin and we're going to marry it to the rabbit skin. There's a fly flying around here, isn't there? Marry it to the rabbit skin, and then we're going to trim around it with a razor knife. And the reason I coat this twice is because it does just soak and suck up this glue. And I'm going beyond my marks because I don't know exactly where I'm going to figure I'm going to marry both of these pieces of leather together because there's thin spots. So I just want to make sure that if I decide I want to put it here or there or everywhere, that it's all covered with enough of this rubber cement so that there's not a spot where there isn't any. Getting it glued together is very, very important. So there we go. That looks like we're good. So now what we'll do is I'll grab the camera a second, and she'll paint this one up. Let me set this right here a second. And by the way, if this folds on itself, it's going to stick. So don't allow it to fold on itself either. So let me grab the camera a moment. And we're off to the races. And put a nice coat on there, and it's contact cement, so the second it touches, it pretty much grabs a hold and it sticks. So there's a little bit of forgiveness if you don't get a large area to grab on. But if you get a large area to grab on and you try to pull the rabbit skin apart from the leather, and I have tried it because I have made contact when I wasn't supposed to, it'll pull the rabbit skin apart. So you want to be darn careful. And a rabbit skin isn't thick enough to make moccasins out of itself. You have to actually have the leather. Oops, I'm photographing or I'm recording the towel there for a second. Here, let me see it a second. You just grab it. We have a towel down so that if it gets off the towel, it won't much matter. Just like that, uniformly covered. You want everything covered, just like that. Now look at that. That is beautiful. Take that cover, put it on top. There we go. We'll stomp that down in a minute. Let's see if this rabbit fur is ready for another coat. Here, go put that on the porch, will you? That stinks. Get that out of here. Yeah, let's take a look at the rabbit skin that we set off to the side. Yeah, that can take some more. You see that we have a couple of areas that are still pooled, but that won't much matter. So I will throw another coat on this. This is Hap for Hap Around the House. And we have 3 coats of rubber cement on this, which is our rabbit skin, and 1 coat on this. And again, the only reason this needed 1 coat was because it's on the shiny side. If I would have used the suede side, well, then I probably would have had to put a lot more coats of the rubber cement. So what I'm going to do is try to position the camera here. I'm doing my own camera work right now. And give you an idea of how and why we put this together so that it will stay together. The reason you use rubber cement is so you get some sort of longevity out of it. And it stays, the leathers will bond. And it's very important to get this right. Now this is contact cement, so the second you touch it together, it will stick. So, want to be careful. And this Rabbit, because you did apply it to the suede side, it shrinks a little bit. So I like to pull it apart just a little and get some of these. You see we've got some waves. I don't know if you can see them on the camera, but it only gets as good as it gets. So, without touching this, let's see if we can get this right. Right about there, I think. Nope. See, now look. You see how much you can get a little forgiveness out of it. And all I'm doing is I'm eyeballing where this is going to land. Right about there. Let's pull it up just one more time. Didn't quite have this corner right. Now all you're doing is you're eyeballing. You have your lines, and you're eyeballing it. Right about like that. And then you work it. Just like this. And if you know that there's some waves, you try to pull them out. And then you just work it with your hands. And I know I have some waves right here, so. And what I wanted to avoid was the real thin stuff. We've got some really thin parts on this Rabbit. Of course, this leather is all fairly uniform. And there it is. Now, I'm not going to cut this right now. I like to let it sit for 24 hours for this glue to really firm up. Because even though that it's contact cement and they say it's all cured in 20 minutes, and it's not. It really gains a lot of strength. 24 hours is a minimum for me. Especially it's cooler here in Michigan, so I try to give it some time. And I've got plenty of that, so that's no big deal. But I'm working it. Now you can get a little dowel and roll it like you're rolling out dough, and that will really get you some good contact. But you can also just work it with your fingers. And what I'll do after we allow this to dry or cure is I'll just go around with that razor knife, just go all the way around it, and it'll be perfect. The everything will just work out really well with the edging. It won't be jagged, and it will be a really nice line. So we'll continue this this video just as soon as this cures. So we'll probably finish this one up tomorrow. Well, we have our leather glued onto our rabbit skin. So what I'd like to show you is how we cut it. And I already cut out half of this off camera, but I'm going to show you how to cut this a second. I think I cut the back part. No, I did cut the back part. So why don't we start with the hardest part, which is the part you have to do by hand, because you cannot use a steel ruler for this. And that would be this part right here, this arch where your toes go. So I'm going to cut this a second. I've got to get comfortable or else I will make a mess of this. So I might have to adjust the camera a bit. I just want to make sure you can get a shot of how exactly I'm doing this and make it easy as possible. So basically, I have a very, very, very sharp razor knife. A freshly snapped off blade. And that makes it really easy. So basically, you just follow that around. And are you going to get it perfect? Probably not. Is it going to be close? Oh yeah, it'll be close. And just follow this baby around. And I've got to move around as I cut it. And try not to get my little piggies in the way so you can see. Yeah, this cuts really nice. Because it is so doggone sharp. Move it one more time here, and what I want to do is I just want to get to the straightaway, which is right there. So I'm almost there. And again, I would not suggest drinking coffee or caffeine if it makes you a little shaky, because the smoother it is, the easier it's going to be to sew. Got a little hang up right there, so see if I can kind of alleviate that. There it is. And now I'll do the straightaway. Make sure you're still in a shot, or you're not in a shot. Let me make sure I'm still in a shot. Here we go. All right, so I just lay my ruler right down. And I try to line it up with the edge of the leather, like so. And it looks like, now when you glue it, sometimes you're going to have this leather move and pull a little bit, so you may have to do a little bit of this by hand. It looks like perhaps maybe at the tippy top there, it might have just done a little squirrely on me, but we'll see if we can still get this. And you should never be in a hurry, and you should never feel uncomfortable when you're trying to cut this. Because if you're uncomfortable and your hand isn't at a good angle, you are not going to be able to follow. So, you know, I just went a little bit off course. But luckily I went off course the easy way, not into the project, but off into the extra rabbit fur. So there it is. Got a little bit of a hang up right there. That's where I went off course. There. And we will do the last part, which is this bottom piece. Now this is leaving all sorts of, this makes a mess because you're literally cutting into the fur, which is releasing all of the hair. So you'll have a little bit of a hairy mess. I'll just take this, I've got this, I think it's an old beach towel. I don't know what it was, SpongeBob, hell, who knows. But I'll take that out, shake it outside. And I do gunsmithing work. I do all sorts of work on this towel. Well, let's make sure that I've got a good backing. I do. Now this is going to be the last cut. Now I imagine you could do this freehand too and just follow your seam. But I found that if you just use your razor, just kind of take it nice and easy. It works really nice. It just leaves a nice good seam. Very easy. Take this and kind of wad that up because that's going to go outside and get shaken off. The kids want me to keep the excess because they think that there's going to be all sorts of little projects they can do with the rabbit fur. But that is it. That is nicely cut, and the seams are pretty tight. I got a little bit of a hang up right here. And what I'll do is very carefully take your razor knife and level. There it is. It's all leveled out. I don't see really any other defects in any of this work that I just did, so that's good. So what I'll do is I'll shut the camera off a second. I'll clean this whole area up, and we'll talk about how we place the stitches. The first pair that I made, I just forced the needle through all of this leather, so you can see that that gets pretty thick. But now I've got a different system that I use to make this. I actually used a pair of layout. I used some layout tools, actually, is all I did. But we'll show you that in a second. I'm going to clean this mess up. It's already all over my, it's dropping down onto my pants. So let me shut this off a second. Well, as you can see, we got her all cleaned up and we're just in time to make another mess. What I'm doing is I'm clearing an area for a thread. Now when you make these, if you don't clear that area for a thread, you are going to be pulling all sorts of hair through your hole, and pull the hair through your hole, and it's going to show on the outside of the moccasin. Now I have this moccasin that I made, and I don't know how clear this is going to show up on the camera, but these are clear. There's no hair peeking through. Now here you can see that there's hair that I pulled through as I pulled the thread through. I like to avoid that, and the only reason that is because I didn't know how exactly I was going to attach this tongue to this moccasin. It was all kind of a work in process or progress, and so I want to avoid pulling hair through there. So I'm going to try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, well, I don't know what to tell you. But what I'm using to do this, I tried using these. Now this is a Wall cordless lithium. It's junk. Don't buy the Wall cordless lithium. It's junk. Please don't buy it. I bought it. It sucks. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for hair. It doesn't work for anything except for... That's all it does. This is the only thing you can get it to do is this. That noise, that's the only thing it's... If you want a noisemaker that sounds like... Buy the Wall. It works really good for that. The wall cordless, it's Chinese, does not work. It's junk. Do not buy it. If you want to buy something that works, buy the wall cordless Home Pro. I don't know if they sell these anymore, but buy the big heavy duty one that you plug into the wall. Now I'm sure you can get one of these that does work from wall. It's probably very, very, very expensive, but if you're looking for cordless so you can do this out in the middle of your yard without having to drag an extension cord, well, heck, go buy one. But for 30 bucks, you can probably buy one of these, and these work fabulous from everything from hair on a human to hair on a rabbit. So that's what I've been using. I just want to make sure we're still in a shot. Yeah, we're pretty good, I think. Yeah, look at that. So I'm going to show you how I'm doing this. There's really no good way of doing it other than, and listen to how quiet this thing is compared to the noisemaker. Isn't that nice? So we're going to use the Wall Home Pro, and basically you just kind of eyeball it, and it doesn't really matter. This is not going to show, and nobody's toes are going to get any colder because you're taking a quarter inch of the hair off. It just isn't going to happen. So you just kind of follow it down, and you just have to take your time. And I'm not really sure how much of this you're seeing, but if you do this, you'll know right away what I'm talking about. And I tried using a pair of scissors, just the tips of the scissors, but this just seems to work so much better. So what we'll do is we'll come back here, right at the edge, and then we'll just follow her down. Just like that. That does an excellent job. Just like that. Now that'll give me, that's 3/8 of an inch, if not a ½ inch that I just took off. Oops. Now see, I just cut into the rabbit for a little bit, but no one's ever going to know. That looks pretty good to me. And shut her off. And there it is. Now we're going to clean up this mess yet again, and we'll come back and I'll show you how I'm laying out these. You want to have basically, I don't know if it's a little bit over 1/8 of an inch between each one of the stitches. So what I'll do is I'll shut this off and we'll come back and show you. What I've done is I've taken this, and this is a Norris. There, it's in the camera. This is a Norris. And I'm not really, it's just like a compass, but it has like a duck bill that you can follow contours with, and it also has a piece of graphite lead there. And you can make marks with it. So what I've done is I've just put it on the edge, and you just color in your marks. I don't know, it takes about 5 minutes to run around this whole thing. So that's what you need. Well, that's what I'm using. I don't really know if that's what you need. That's what I needed, and I happen to have one. In fact, I happen to have a whole set of layout tools, and they work really, really well. And I think if you go like to eBay, you'll probably give probably $15 for one of these. Nobody uses them hardly anymore, and they're laying around people's houses, so they're probably just selling them off. But that's okay. They want to sell them. I needed to buy one, so I had one, and then I've had this for 10-15 years. And also what came with this is a dual pointy one. Very, very, very sharp points. And you can adjust it with this little knob here. And right now I probably have about, I don't know, 3 millimeters between each one of those. And what I've done is I've started to run holes along that line, and this is where your thread is going to go. And I'm just marking it. Go to the next hole, and I'll just rock around this whole moccasin. And then what I'll do is I'll take my awl and I'll pop a hole through both of these, and this is held in place with a little one of the, I don't really know what those are called. Those are like updated paper clips. They just have the real springy steel, and you know, it's holding everything together. I have 2 of them on there, and it's very important that you keep this aligned when you push this through. When you push your awl through, you want it to be aligned. So upon my first hole that I make with the awl, I will take this and use it as an alignment pin. So the first hole, I'll stick this through, and then that'll keep it, and then I'll move it down just to make sure that everybody's staying aligned and true, so when I have to push the thread through, it'll line up and it'll be super easy. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I like to keep things aligned. So I'm going to go ahead and go around this whole thing, and I'll come back and show you how to sew it when I'm done laying this out. Got all the holes, and I started this, which is just some waxy thread that I use. I forget what it's called. It starts with an S, but it works really good. You peel off what you want. So what you do is you just force it through the hole, like so. And you can see that it's not picking up any hair because we took all that hair off. Now sometimes you can pull this through with your fingers. Sometimes I just grab a pair of pliers and pull it through. Because this is really some serious thread. And you see that it forms a loop at the end. And the first couple I like to just put it through the loop once. That does help to snug it down a bit. And you have to sometimes also, you'll get little loops and stuff that you have to manipulate and pull on either side to get them to kind of cinch down. And that's a tight, tight, tight loop. And it's just called a little whip stitch. So we'll go to the next one. Line it up with the top hole. Push it down. And sometimes it'll line right up, sometimes it won't, because the holes move a little bit, and there's really not much you can do about that. Just the nature of the beast. Now see that? That right there is a hole in my thimble. So that'll poke you in the thumb, but good. So if you can avoid that, I'll have to make a new thimble is all. So we'll get it in the hole again. I'll turn it upside down, my thimble, and then I'll push in a different spot. Now I've never broken a needle, but I could see breaking a needle. And you see that went through? And see, I still can't quite pull it through. So I'll just use a pair of pliers. And I will not knot this one. I will not knot this one. And again, I've got that little loop left over, so you have to pull on either side of the thread. There it goes. And this is what you'll do for the next hour or so. Put it in there, grab your thimble, and all this is just some laminated leather that I laminated together, and then I cut a piece. There's a little piece that I cut. Now if I was to make it again, this is 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 layers. I'd probably make it 5 layers, because these needles just go right through. So there it is, started it. Push it through. Now I don't know if I'm lining up with that hole or not. Now if you want to, you can peek, because there is a hole in this, because I did pound it all the way through, and you can kind of get an eye on it, just like that. There, now it's lined up with the hole. Keep pressure on it, like that. And it's still not easy. There it is, through. Grab your pair of pliers if you need them, and I do need them. Just like that. And also sometimes you'll have the thread bunch up on one side. That's what just happened. So all I do is I separate that, I back it up, and there, it unbunches. Otherwise you end up with a knot on one side, and then you get to start all over, which is no fun. And it's only because you have such a long line. I have 4 feet of this thread. So I'm going to continue this, and you can see that it's starting to just go boom, 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 boom. And the only reason that is so odd is because of the fact that I had that knot. When you put a knot in it, it'll make your stitches look odd. But I won't. These will just continue to go down just to normal, one after the other, all the way around. So I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done.